All right, let's jump right in. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a trip to Aoki Village, which is this really quiet, beautiful little community tucked deep inside the mountains of Nagano Prefecture, Japan. We're going to unpack how this tiny, almost completely forgotten wild fruit didn't just survive the modern era, but actually became a living vessel for an entire community's history and language. It's a pretty incredible story, so let's get started. So let's start with a bit of a mystery. Picture this. You're walking through Aoki Village, and a local cheerfully offers you something called Kompara. What would you even expect? Is it a fruit? Some kind of root vegetable? Maybe a pastry? Honestly, if you live outside of this specific valley, that word is going to draw an absolute blank. It sounds a little nostalgic, sure, but completely unrecognizable to most people. Well, it turns out Kompara is actually a highly localized nickname for a wild plant officially known as Natsuhaze. Botanically speaking, it's a deciduous shrub in the Ericaceae family, which makes it pretty closely related to the common blueberry. But in Aoki Village, the locals have lovingly dubbed this tiny, dark berry the mountain's black pearl. It just grows quietly out there in the sunlit mountains and foothills, waiting for the crisp autumn air to ripen it into this incredibly rich, dark purple color. Now, just looking at it, your brain might immediately jump to the familiar. You'd probably think, oh, that's just a wild blueberry, or maybe a tiny wild grape. But it is decidedly neither of those things. Kompara has this very distinctively sharp, sweet, sour taste that is entirely its own. It's a totally unique flavor signature of the Nagano Mountains. Okay, moving into part one, memories of the satoyama, the traditional border zone. To really understand what makes Kompara so special, we have to talk about the satoyama. That's the traditional transitional space where wild mountain foothills meet flat farming land. There's this fantastic quote from a 2014 Nagano agricultural record where the author recalls foraging these berries as a kid, basically just gorging on them right off the bush until their mouth turned pitch black. The Satoyama wasn't just a place for adults to gather firewood. For kids, it was a living, breathing supermarket where they learned the rhythms of nature totally firsthand. The contrast between the past and present here is just wild. Back in the day, getting a taste of Kompara meant physically foraging deep in the mountains. You had to know exactly which tree bore the fruit and exactly when it was ripe. That was hands-on knowledge passed down generation to generation without a textbook in sight. But today? Well, the reality is vastly different, as we'll see in just a moment. Which brings us right back to our big question. Why on earth do they call it Kompara? I mean, if the plant's official name is Natsuhaze, where did this specific, quirky word come from? When researchers dig into the official records of Aoki Village, Kompara is literally just listed as a colloquialism. There's absolutely no standard dictionary entry and zero documented written history explaining how the word was created. It's one of those words that just sprouted organically, you know? It wasn't born in a textbook. It came from generations of family conversations around the dinner table, farmers chatting during their breaks, and kids yelling out to each other while playing in the brush. It is a completely undocumented, living piece of local culture that survived exclusively through oral tradition. But here's the kicker. That oral tradition eventually hit a massive roadblock. As modernization swept through Japan, that traditional satoyama lifestyle rapidly declined. People just didn't need to go into the mountains every single day anymore for firewood or food. And because the plant essentially disappeared from daily life, the unique word kompara was suddenly at severe risk of fading from human memory entirely. Think about it. If you don't pick the berry, you don't use the word. So, what happens next? Let's look at part two, Reviving the Black Pearl, a grassroots effort by Mikayari no Sato. The massive turning point for this village centers around the number 250. Sometime in the early 2000s, a local agricultural processing group called Mikayari no Sato stepped up. They realized they were on the verge of losing a crucial piece of their village's soul. So they tracked down unused, abandoned farmland and deliberately planted about 250 Natsuhaze trees. They weren't just regenerating the physical land, they were actively regenerating the memory of the land itself. Now, producing Kompara is absolutely nothing like industrial farming. It is a serious labor of love. You've got to grow the trees on this reclaimed land, patiently wait for the tiny berries to finally ripen, and then, get this, meticulously pick them, one by one. Because these berries are so incredibly small, filling up even a single bucket takes an immense amount of time and patience before they can even begin the hand-sorting process. But here is what's really special about that slow process. Village records show that for the elderly population of Aoki, tending to these trees and processing the berries isn't just a chore. It actually provides this profound sense of purpose. It connects them right back to their youth playing in the mountains, all while letting them actively contribute to the modern economy of their home.
Which leads us perfectly into part 3, preserving a village's memory, and how this is so much more than just a souvenir.
Fast forward to today, and you absolutely don't have to go bushwhacking into the mountains to taste the black pearl. You can find it beautifully transformed into local specialties. At the local roadside station, you can pick up Kompara jam, sip on Kompara mine, or even grab Kompara-flavored soft-serve ice cream and these cute little mascot-shaped treats. An isolated, fading mountain memory has become a totally accessible regional flavor for anyone passing through. And this leads us to, honestly, the most powerful takeaway of this explainer. Local souvenirs can act as literal vessels of memory. By printing the word Kompara on a menu board or jam jar label, the village is ensuring the word itself survives. Because every single time a tourist points to the menu and asks, "Hey, what's Kompara?" a conversation starts. The history is spoken aloud, and that unique local dialect stays alive.
So, as we wrap things up today, I want to leave you with this thought. The next time you're traveling, or hey, even just looking around your own hometown, and you spot some strange local treat with a funny-sounding name, ask yourself, what hidden history, what forgotten childhood memory, or fading local dialect might you be helping to preserve just by learning its name? Thanks so much for joining me to uncover the mystery of Aoki Village's Black Pearl. See you in the next explainer.